Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. So it is with great regret that I come to you, and my first official video is going to be related to a tragedy that has shocked not only the basketball world but the baseball world as well. Now, as many of us know by now, legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter, along with 7 other passengers, were killed in a helicopter crash. Now, I want you to understand something. This is not a video only boasting of what Kobe has accomplished on the court and what he's meant to so many people. This is a video finding a way to cope with what has happened right now in 2020. It is a sad thing when someone who has done so many things and who has been in front of the camera for so many years passes so tragically. And we're gonna open up and speak a little bit about how to get past it. Now, I've written a couple of notes and I hope I can get through all of them properly. All right, so we're gonna first mention his accomplishments. On the basketball court, he is known as Mamba. He is known as the GOAT. He is was known as the living legend. And that's very hard to accomplish. And as a man, he took it upon himself to, since he was a teenager, truly share with people what his values were. Now, everyone has different values, but his was one of a kind. It emulated almost MJ, Michael Jordan. When he was on his team, he worked his team and himself to the bone. And I can tell you, I've heard things that when Kobe was on the Lakers, he would drive his teammates crazy because of his work ethic. Now, a lot of us don't have the same work ethic. And if you thought of him as a hero, I would say the one thing you need to do is not only have him as your hero because of what he did on the court, it was how he presented himself on the court. He presented himself as a leader. He presented himself as a man who saw his goal and achieved them because he chased after them. Now, a lot of us, we have goals. It's 2020. It's January. You know, a lot of us have our, I'm going to get rid of this year, and I'm going to get rid of that this year, and I'm going to make sure I hit this by this goal and all that stuff. And guess what? We never do it. And we never do it because we don't plan. The famous line is, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. That is true because I myself have also gone through that, where I haven't planned properly, and because of it, I didn't succeed. And if I had some success in it, while it was good, it wasn't as good as it could be if I had planned properly. Now, when we go to his flaws, when he first entered in, he had a scandal. And to date, I believe that's the only scandal that we've heard of. Now, I can say with certainty that a lot of us judged him in that moment and said, oh, he's just like every other man. He does what he does and he goes on about his business, and he thinks that because he brought his wife a ring that was crazy in the amount, I don't remember the amount, that she was stupid to stay. No knock on you ladies, but some of y'all take a man back for less than what she got, okay? It's half of y'all allow men to still be in your life, in your apartment, eating your food, using your car, doing a whole bunch of stuff, and they didn't even do half of the things that Kobe has done to make up for what he did in that moment. Now, I say this to say that He was human. And a lot of us looked at him as if he was superhuman because of the effort that he chose to output into the world. A lot of us seem to think because he was in basketball, it's why he was so successful and why he was able to get certain things that others weren't. And I have to be honest, that's not true. He worked just as hard as any other person who worked in corporate America, or who worked in a school, or who worked in UPS or one of the carriers that deliver our mail. You know why? He had a work ethic, something a lot of us do not have in our lives as yet. And that is something that we need to work on. Okay? Now, I've seen things, video clips of where one in particular a few months ago, he was driving by and an accident happened, and instead of continuing to drive and be about his business, he stopped, he stayed, got out, and helped those affected in the accident, along with diverting traffic to make sure that the people who were in the accident were taken care of. How many of us would do that? I'll wait. Not so much. And you know why? Because some of us feel that our lives are too important to sometimes help others. It's not right, but it is true. And he didn't feel that he was too big to help another person. And that's the thing that I want a lot of us to take away from, right? He chose to do a lot of things that you wouldn't normally see someone of that stature to do. And it was so amazing and so refreshing. Now, let me be clear. I said that to say because he was still approachable, even in his hero-like status. And a lot of us in our moments right now, we're not approachable. And we need to be. Now, for the men out there, I know you are hurting, and a lot of women are looking at y'all like, you're crazy. What are you crying for? Why is your life disrupted because of the death of a basketball player? You didn't even know him. Let me tell you something, ladies, okay? While we may have it messed up sometimes about how men feel and the emotions that they feel, yes, they have emotions. They don't share it a lot, but they do have them. They just don't know how to express it as eloquently as some of us do. Now, we need to understand and be very mindful that a lot of men have watched this man, especially black men, watched this man enter the NBA from high school, which is not a common thing anymore these days, and dominate it. And like I mentioned before, while he may have had his indiscretion, which we all know is normal in that world, they saw him grow up, and he was like one of their guy friends. He was literally like one of their guy friends because he wasn't really a stay in the closet type person where you can't get him to be interviewed. You can interview him. He will speak to you. He will share his anecdotes. He will share a lot of things. And I don't think most of us, because we don't look at sports as much as men do, we don't realize that he has impacted so many men. He has shared so much knowledge in how to be a better person, in how to think differently about how we approach things, about how to make sure you do the right things when it comes down to it. Now, for that type of man who looks like them to be taken at such a young age, because he was only 41. And the way he was taken just so suddenly, there was no, he grew old, he had coached a basketball team, because I read that somewhere. Someone posted they were not ready for this because they expected him to die older. They expected him to coach a couple teams, and that's when they would have thought that it would have been right for him to be taken. And for me, that's why it's so devastating for a lot of them, because here's the kicker. They watched him grow up from a teenager. He grew into a man, and not only did he not end up in a whole bunch of difficult things, he made smart choices, but he died young. He died young. And a lot of these men are going through a crisis because of that. That's for the women. Now for the men, understand this. You looked at him as a hero, and while he was to a lot, to millions, I want to ask you a question. Did you pattern yourself after him? And by pattern yourself, I mean, did you take the little tidbits, the little nuggets that he has dropped in your life and actually put it into action? Did you? The way that he loved his daughters and his wife, do some of you love the women that you're with and some of the children that you have with them? Do you respect them? Do you give them your time? Do you give them your effort? This is a whole nother video on how people need to heal from past issues and all that stuff. But I'm speaking specifically right now to the men. He was, in his own words, a girl's daddy. He loved his beautiful little women, all of them, and he showered them with love, with gifts, with time. I saw a video speaking about when his trips, the fact that he flies so much from in between in Los Angeles. And it kills me because people are just like, oh, that's him. He just loves to fly just because he can. And a lot of people didn't realize he flew so much to be able to spend time with his daughters and his wife. There are clips out there that show that he had an interview and they asked him, why do you do it? And he said, it's simply because I got tired of being in LA traffic and missing my children's plays and their special events. He said, being able to go from one point to the next within 20 minutes saved me so much time, because I wanted to be able to drive my children to their events and have memories with them so they can have them with me as well. A lot of you men need to take that and run with it, because it's so important to love on your children, and it's so important to spend time with your children, not only your girls but the boys as well, because you are the first man that they know of that they have to pattern themselves after. So what are you teaching your men? What are you teaching these young boys who have to grow into men, if you're the first example of a man that they have to try and emulate? Because even with some males, while they don't want to do some of the things that their father does, they end up doing it because sometimes it's innate. And in order to get rid of some of those things, you have to work at it. He didn't have to work hard at being a dad because he understood the concept of being a dad. And he deliberately made it very, very possible to spend as much quality time with his family as he could. And I want some of you men to understand that I know sometimes it's hard because of this economy and you have to work so much, but please understand that you have to spend time with your children. They are your legacy. And while somebody said somewhere, Kobe, are you going to try and have your boy, with his daughter Gianna, by the way, right next to him, when are you going to try and have your boy to follow in your footsteps and continue your legacy? And she said, I am that. I am the legacy. You need to understand, fathers, your legacy are your children. So make sure that you spend time, quality time with your children. Not only doing the things you like to do, because if it was up to y'all, some of y'all would sit there, watch basketball, baseball, football, all those things, and not really get to know your children for who they are and the people that they're growing into. So you have to spend quality time with your children and be their hero. You have your own heroes that you look up to, but if you're a father, you have children that look to you to be their hero. When I speak to you about making sure that you are with your family and you leave and you have quality time with them, right? You have to understand that you are leaving your own impact in their lives. Now, Kobe impacted millions because that was his platform. That is not something that will be ever taken away from him because he grew into that and he understood it. Some of you men and women need to understand that you can have just as great of an impact as he did. And you just have to work at it. Leave the proper impact. Have the proper relationships. Have the proper conversations. Care. Show concern for those that are around you. And the impact that you leave when you pass will be enormous. It won't just be okay, she was good, she was a good friend. It will be, she was a great friend because she chose to have an impact in my life. She did things that other people wouldn't. And that is not me saying that you have to overextend yourself and be so diligent in making sure you get this done for this person, that person, just so someone could say, oh, she did this for me, or he did this for me. That's not what I'm saying. Be genuine when you have and form these relationships with people because it's very important. Because people survive on relationships. Some more than others. There are a couple introverts, that don't really care for many people because humans suck sometimes. But when you find the right humans, it is the most beautiful thing that you could ever imagine. Especially if you find like-minded humans, your humanity can be revived and your emotions can be revived if people truly treat each other as if they were the equal of another. You can be great in your own lane. I honestly believe, and my pastor, Matthew Greaves of Faith Temple Worship Center, he said something to me one time that blew my mind. So many of us are misaligned, and because of that, so many of us are unhappy. Some of us are working jobs that should be for other people, and we're only working that job because of the money, because of the ease, things of that nature. We need to fully understand that we have to be good in our own lane. Find what you are great at and work hard. That's what Kobe did. He found one beautiful thing that he was great at and he worked it like nobody's business. He said before that a guidance counselor or a teacher told him at one point in high school, you shouldn't pursue basketball. And look what happened when he found something he was great at and he worked it. He pursued it. He was passionate about it and he made sure he impacted people. You in your daily life, regardless of what position you're in terms of work, if you are a custodian, if you are a school teacher, if you are a executive assistant, if you are a CEO, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a mom, people knock stay-at-home moms, but they have some of the hardest jobs because they have to be everybody for everyone and not get paid. Okay? But if you work your position to the bone, if you work it with passion, if you work it with love, and understanding and concern, you'll be the greatest at what it is that you choose to do. So I'm giving you a very big push into finding what works for you and go after it. Because if you don't, while you might make some good money, I won't front, some of those positions, they pay really good. It will not give you the happiness that you truly would receive or deserve because you enjoy what you're doing. There's some people who can make money and have a lot of fun and just do something great and not have to worry about being stressed. Some people do hair, and hair is what they do, and they do it very well, mind you, and they get paid very well. You have to find what works for you, work in that lane, and be happy and impact those that you help. Because you need to understand, when you help others in that place from genuine love and a genuine gift, it is the most beautiful thing you could ever do for yourself and for them. I'm going to close this off by saying, and I wrote it down because it's very important, right? Every decision you make creates an impact. Choose the right one. And I say that because you are the one who decides what you do. You are the one who chooses what it is that you do on a daily basis. There is no one holding any gun to your head saying you better do this. Some of us have formed habits over the years that are hard to break, and I understand that. But guess what? It is what it is. You're the one who's choosing to stay in that job, to stay in that relationship, to stay with that friendship, to stay in that school and pursue that degree. These are choices that you make. Understand this. The choices that you make today will impact what you do next month, next year, 5 years from now, because you're living in it right now. So make sure that the choice you make is the one that you can live with and be happy with your future. All right, beautiful people? So I know this was long, and I know that it was something that you'll have to take time. You may have to watch it again because some nuggets were just golden. I'm bigging up myself, yes, because it's true. Some of these things were great. These are things that you have to think about. But I'm happy that you stayed till the end to actually listen to all I have to say. Now, if you're returning, I want to say again, hello. And if you're new, I want to say please subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I upload another video. Okay, beautiful people? Thank you so much for giving me your time, and thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.